Shalom. Shalom, Soldier Zion. Shalom, Soldier Kodash. Shalom. Shalom. If you enter in, drop a shalom or a hey or a nice Shabbat, something. That way we may greet you. We are piggybacking off of last week's class about Abraham, continuing in the meditation of our forefathers. And Abraham, we got into last week. Abraham is a lot that goes over Abraham. It's kind of why we're getting into a little bit more. We didn't go into the stories of Abraham. We kind of went into his works. Shalom, Jacob's seed. We kind of went into what he received, such as the promises, the circumcision, so on and so forth, and how that lines up with the covenant that we are in. And today we're going to get a little bit more into his stories and what he's known for. I'm going to go grab like 2 stories from what I know. I don't think this is going to be a long class, but then again, I always say that and it ends up being an hour long. I don't know, right? We're just going to see how it go. But first and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Hamashiach, Yahushua. And Malachi, if you don't mind, can you start at Genesis 11? And let me up the size on this. Let me see if I can get this bigger. If you don't mind, can you start at Genesis 11 and 26?
Con, the book of Genesis, chapter 11 and verse 26. And Terah lived 70 years and begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Now these are the generations of Terah. Terah begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran begat Lot. And Haran died.
My bad.
And Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his nativity in the year of the Chaldees. And Abram and Nahor took them wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah and the father of Iscah. But Sarai was barren; she had no child. And Terah took Abram his son, and Lot the son of Haran his son's son, and Sarai his daughter-in-law, and his son Abram's wife, and they went forth with them from the Ur of Chaldees to go into the land of Canaan, and they came unto Haran and dwelt there.
So we're learning about the lineage of Abraham's father and the men that's come from Abraham's father, like Haran and Haran's son Lot, which Lot is very famous for and known of by the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, right? Abraham's nephew. Terah is Abraham's father. Right now, Abraham is only known as Abram, right? The Lord didn't change his name yet. Shalom, Soldier Shabar. The Lord had not changed his name yet. Up until this point, the Lord hasn't made himself known unto Abraham yet, right? Very last verse, it says, in the days of Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran. So, Genesis chapter 12. Let's start that.
The book of Genesis, chapter 12 and verse 1. Now the Lord said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house, and unto a land that I will show thee. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. It says, and I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee. And in thee shall all the families of the earth be blessed.
So this is talking about Abraham, but it's going to Abraham's seed, which is the children of Israel, right? The children of Israel. This is the Most High making himself known unto Abraham, right? Shalom, Gemini Jersey boy. Shalom, Officer Mahar. So the Lord is now making himself known unto Abraham. And he says, get from my father's house, right? Let's keep reading. Verse 4, I believe we're at.
Verse 4, it says, so Abram departed as the Lord had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran.
Come on.
And Abram took Sarai his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran, and they went forth to go into the land of Canaan. And into the land of Canaan they came.
Into the land of Canaan they came. So this is a great significance, right? How is this of great significance? Because Abram didn't know the Most High. He didn't know the Most High, right? Just like I just said, he had just now made himself known unto him. And this is where, this is the beginning of Abraham's faith, right? Let me back this up a little bit. I'll keep having to scroll. This is the beginning of Abraham's faith, right? Hebrews 11 and verse 8. Remember, if you remember anything about Hebrews 11, it's going to go over faith, right? It says, by faith, Abraham, when he was called to go out into a place which he should after receive for an inheritance, obeyed, and he went out, not knowing whither he went. He didn't know where he was going. The Lord told him to go somewhere. He moved. The Lord told him to leave his father's house. He moved. And it says, by faith, he sojourned in the land of promise, as in a strange country, dwelling in tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise. Again, remember we just read about how I will bless them that bless thee. This is kind of reiterating the same thing I said. That was towards Abraham's seed, right? It says dwelling in the tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise. It says, for he looked for a city which hath foundations, whose builder and maker is God. Whose builder and maker is God. So we're going to come back to Hebrews 11 here in a second. I wanted to touch on the point of Abraham having faith and leaving his father's house. Leaving his father's house, because that can be overlooked. That can be overlooked. How many of us are willing to give up everything we know, give up our home, and follow the Most High? How many? We know the Most High right now. How much more when you kind of don't even really know? How much more? Abraham hearkened, right? So let's jump to Genesis chapter 22. This is some chapters later, right? This is 10 chapters later. Abraham's name has been changed to Abraham. The Most High promised Abraham that he would have a son. You got to understand the story. The Most High told Abraham that he was going to have a son, right? He already had Ishmael, but no, it was going to be another son, Isaac, that he gave, whom the Lord calls Isaac, thine only son, right? Let's read Genesis 22, start at the top.
Book of Genesis chapter 22 and verse 1. And it came to pass after these things that God did tempt Abraham and said unto him, Abraham. And he said, behold, here I am. It says, and he said, Take now thy son, thine only son Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will tell thee of.
So, real quick, like I said, the Lord keeps reiterating, take thy son, thine only son, Isaac, referring to what? This is the chosen lineage. This is the chosen heir and seed line that the Most High God chose. It wasn't with Ishmael. It wasn't with any of Abraham's kids except Isaac, and then through Isaac, Jacob. Esau wasn't chosen. Jacob was. Ishmael wasn't chosen. Isaac was. So now we have the Most High tempting Abraham. We have the Most High tempting Abraham, saying, take thy son and offer him there for a burnt offering. This is a prevalent story in Genesis. This is a prevalent story concerning Abraham. Abraham had his faith tested a multitude of times. And he passed. He passed all of them. This is why he's known as faithful Abraham, right? Let's continue reading. Verse 3.
Oh, so like it. Verse 3, it says, Abraham rose up early in the morning and saddled his ass and took 2 of his young men with him and Isaac his son, and clave the wood for the burnt offering, and rose up and went unto the place which God had told him. Then on the 3rd day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place afar off. And Abraham said unto his young men, abide ye here with the ass, and I and the lad will go yonder and worship, and come again to you.
Come on.
And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it upon Isaac his son. And he took the fire in his hand and a knife, and they went both of them together.
Come on.
And Isaac spake unto Abraham his father, and said, my father. And he said, here am I, my son. And he said, behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering?
So Isaac is a little confused. Father, we got fire and wood, right? But where's the lamb? You said we're gonna offer up a burnt offering to the Lord. Where is it? Abraham is on straight business. Abraham is finna do what the Most High commanded him to do. No ifs, ands, or buts. Because what? Abraham did seen the works of the Most High already. In that last story, if you keep reading in Genesis 12, you read about how Abraham and Sarah enter into Egypt. And the Pharaoh takes a liking to Sarah. And then the Most High God gives Pharaoh a dream, a vision about how he'll destroy him if he touched Sarah. Abraham is aware of all this. He knows the works of the Most High. So now he's not even going to play. This should show you something. A lot of us didn't see the works of the Most High. He made himself known unto us. Tested our faith. We might have passed it. And then we'll see the fruit of it. We'll see the fruit of keeping the faith in the Most High. That's called faith builders, right? When you go to the gym, you put a little bit on your chest, boom. Then you start adding more weight. Come in next week, add a little bit more weight because you're getting stronger. Same thing with your faith. Your faith is supposed to be getting stronger. Abraham's faith was already strong. Hey, you told me to offer up my son. No ifs, ands, buts about it. No, not even question it. Not even question. You gave me my son. You told me I would have a lot of children in mine old age. Sarah's womb being dead, and she gave birth to Isaac. Why would I doubt you now? Let me go do what I was told. Let me go do what I was told. So Isaac is now asking, where's the lamb for the burnt offering? Let's keep reading. Verse 8.
Come on, verse 8. And Abraham said, my son, God will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering. So they went, both of them together. And they came to the place which God had told him of. And Abraham built an altar there and laid the wood in order and bound Isaac his son and laid him on the altar upon the wood.
So he bound his son and laid him on the altar as he was told. As he was told. You got to imagine, this is the son Abraham dreamed of having, desired of having, longed for. He wanted a son, wanted children. He wanted children. And now the Lord asked him to offer up his son. You got to actually meditate on how heavy this is. Nobody want to lose their child. It's not even natural. Your child is supposed to watch you pass and go on, not the other way around. You're not supposed to see your child pass before you. Shalom, Soda Shema. The child is not supposed to pass before you.
Salakia.
Go ahead, King.
Can you, like you said, you got to imagine this. You got to put yourself in that position and imagine the crazy emotions that you would be met with. Because you can't control, you can regulate your emotions, but you can't control what emotions come at you. Mm-hmm. If the Lord was dealing with you hands on like Abraham, and you was begging and longing to have a son, and he finally gives you a son, and your son is your most prized possession, and you love him dearly, all for the Most High to turn around and say, look, you gonna offer your only son to me for a burnt sacrifice. And then he don't give you no context, no understanding. You know how confounded you would be? Mm-hmm. I know, like, we in this walk in the truth, and we get confronted with certain situations or just even minor inconveniences, and it'll confound you. It'll have you twisted up like, oh my God, why am I going through this? You know what I mean? Imagine where Abraham was at through the Spirit when God said, come sacrifice your son. And it's like, confounded, man. But he went.
He went. He did what he was told, right? Let's keep reading. Verse 10.
Verse 10. And Abraham stretched forth his hand and took the knife to slay his son.
That's deep. That's deep. He wasn't about to, right here with it. And he was finna do it. He was finna offer him up. He was about to do it. His mind was about to, he was about to put his hands to it. He was about to commit the work. You know why? Because the Lord told him to do it. The Lord told him to do it. As a test of faith. Does he trust me to offer up his own son? Now, later on, we read and we find in 2nd Ezra and the Most High, or I should say the angel of the Most High, having a discussion. I think it was with Uriel. And the angel told him, you come too far short. You thinkest thou you can love my creature more than I? You think you can love my people more than I do? Abraham must have had some understanding on that. Abraham must have understood, nah, this is the Most High's. He lent them to me. Isaac is the Most High's. The Most High literally gave him to me. He lent them to me. So if he see it fit for me to do this, it just is what it is. What did Eli say when Samuel brought him, the judgment? Samuel got a vision of the Lord, and he was told that Eli and his sons were going to die. Eli said, hey, if it be of the Lord, if he see it fit, if that's what he want to do, that's what it is. You know how much understanding and faith got to be right there? The judgment that the Lord gave to Eli was crazy. I think it said he wouldn't be able to repent. It was crazy. And Eli just took it on the chin. Hey, that's the Lord. Whatever he sees fit. The understanding and the faith that our people had back in the day was insane compared to us now. Now, I remember I was talking to this one woman. She was like, I just don't believe God would destroy me for eating bacon. All right. Okay. The scriptures say, has there been evil in the city and the Lord have not done it? And you think he won't destroy you for eating bacon? Okay. The fear of the Lord is taught by precepts of men, as the scriptures say, right? The fear of the Lord, it's not even existent anymore in today's age. There's no fear for the Most High, because you know why? Nobody believes in the Most High. Nobody has faith in him no more. If you did, it'll be some fear there. You don't want to mess up. You don't want to screw this up. You don't want to be found in fault before the Lord. There's no fear here. There's no belief. And that's why people get away with what they get away with. That's why that's why they feel the way they feel. Because Christianity came along, Catholicism came along, and they switched the God of the Old Testament and the God of the New Testament. There's no differences, but that's what they made. They made a difference. Now this New Testament is, it's love, it's peace, it's cupcakes and roses, and you can kind of do whatever. You can kind of say, you can kind of do and say whatever you want against the Most High, but he'll forgive you. And that's just not true. That's called Marcionism. We learned that the other day. That's Marcionism, where you believe that the God of the Old Testament was evil and the God of the New Testament is a good guy. Scriptures say the Lord doesn't change. Lord doesn't change. Abraham knew this. David knew this. Christ knew this. John the Baptist knew this. The 12 disciples knew this. And they all feared the Most High and did what was commanded of them, right? As we reading about Abraham, who was about to offer up his son, who's about to kill his son, his heir, his own flesh and blood. He raised him. You got to think, Isaac isn't a baby. Isaac has understanding. He said, hey, why where's the lamb? He's raised him up that much to where he has understanding. This is a hard ordeal. But he's about to do it anyway. Right? Let's keep reading verse 11.
Verse 11. And the angel of the Lord called unto him out of heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, here am I. And he said, lay not thine hand upon the lad, neither do thou anything unto him. For now I know that thou fearest God, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, from me.
So some people get what is it?
confused.
Some people get a little, they lose their understanding when they read this. Like, oh, so God isn't all knowing. He didn't know that Abraham feared him, and he didn't know. No, you got to understand certain things were written for our learning. Certain things were said and written for our learning, for our perspective, from our point of view. God said, your ways are not my ways. Your thoughts are not my thoughts. This was written so we can see it and be like, wow, Abraham believed. And now God knows that he fears him. You see? Remember, I told you the faith and fear go hand in hand. The reason why people don't have faith, because they don't fear. Say it right there. I know that thou fearest God. I know that thou fearest God. Let's jump over to James 2, because this story teaches us something. Right? This story teaches us something. James is confounding people, the Hebrews, who, right here, respect of persons. They kind of, playing this foot and that foot, being partial a little bit, so on and so forth. But he gets to a point where he talks about faith and works, right? I'm going to read it. It says, I'm going to start with verse 14. What doth it profit, my brethren, though a man say he have faith and have not works? Can faith save him? If a brother or sister be naked and destitute of daily food, and one of you say unto them, depart in peace, be ye warmed and filled, notwithstanding ye give them not those things which are needful to the body, what doth it profit it? So James is asking, hey, if somebody is naked, destitute of food, and you walk up to him and say, be warm and be filled and go in peace, what did that do for him? This is a experiment you can try today. You can go to a homeless man and say, man, be filled and warmed and have a house, and then walk away from him and see if that changed his position. He had the faith. Verse 17, it says, even so, faith, if it hath not works, is dead being alone. Yea, a man may say, thou hast faith and I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show thee my faith by my works. James said, I'm going to show you my faith by my works. As we see through a lot of the forefathers. They had many great works, many great deeds. Just like we read in Sirach, they were the glory of their time. How? By their works. It says, thou believest that there is one God, thou doest well. The devils also believe and tremble. But wilt thou know, O vain man, that faith without works is dead. They wanted, what was his name? Martin Luther with the Protestant Reformation. He wanted to remove James, and I think parts of Revelation, because he was so against the notion of works. This is where you get sola fide, right? Faith only. I think it's the Latin word. Sola fide. Faith only. And you want to remove James for this. Why was he so against works? When you go and you learn about Martin Luther, and you learn about him being under the Orthodox Catholicism, the works that they were doing were not even law keeping. It wasn't even biblical works. It was things that they made up. It was commandments of men, right? You can't sleep, can't get married. You had to wear sackcloth. You couldn't be happy because that was sinful and wicked, and anything that pleased your flesh, it was just terrible. It wasn't a terrible thing to read about in the law, pleasing of the flesh. No, it was just regular things. And then Martin Luther came to the conclusion that it's impossible to please God by works. Why? Because it's the works that he was doing. The Roman Catholicism works. This is where you get the Protestant Reformation or the Reformation of the church. And he wanted to remove James. Why? Because James is saying this. Even so, faith, if it hath not works, is dead being alone. You got to understand where your doctrine is coming from. You got to understand why you believe the stuff you believe. He didn't want to remove works based off the biblical works. He wanted to remove works based off of what they were doing in the church. He didn't have an understanding of what was going on in the scriptures. And he was extremely racist. But that's a whole nother conversation. But let's keep reading. Verse 19. Thou believest that, well, I already read that. Verse 21. This is the point. Was not Abraham, our father, justified by works when he had offered up Isaac his son upon the altar? Seest thou how faith wrought with his works? And by works was faith made perfect. And the scripture was fulfilled, which saith, Abraham believed God, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness, and he was called the friend of God. This is how powerful Abraham was. His faith wrought with his works, and through that, his faith was made perfect, and he was known as the friend of God. He was known as the friend of God. It says, ye see then how that by works a man is justified, and not by faith only. Not by faith only. So there's a lot of things we can learn and take away from Father Abraham, from faithful Abraham. There's still many stories that you can read about in Genesis, right? I didn't want today's class to be too long. We got Captain Jeremiah going live at about 1:30 today. Officer Mahar, do you have anything? Kind of take that as no. Soldier Malachi, do you got anything?
No, sir.
Kind. So, the water for everybody tuning in. With that, we want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory to Most High God Yahweh, and we want to say Shalom.
Shalom.